How's it going, ScrubGamers? Welcome back to another video here at ScrubGames, and today we're going over our next episode in the Road to Finals series, which is a 12-part series created to help anybody against the EU Finals prepare as best they can. And today is episode 8, which is checking your 6 for rogue decks, so checking your back for any rogue decks, because today I'm going to give you my top 5 rogue picks to take to finals that I feel are going to be I can be quite decent in this meta, and give you a good unexpected advantage. Because the good thing about rogue decks is when they're not commonly played against or known, you can pull some wins out by your opponent not expecting it, because not every player in this game has a good knowledge of all the decks possible in the game. So sometimes people will not expect certain decks or not know what they do, but they've either come in later and it's an older deck, because most decks, so some older decks is quite nice. It's quite nice that some older decks are actually playable, even though it's come quite late in this game with the come out sets we've got. And not everybody knows about all decks, so playing something that your opponent doesn't expect can give you a win in the first game where they don't know how to combat it, what it does, and get blown out by it in game 1. And in game 2, when they're trying to figure out or try to combat against it, you can pull out a win on game 2 as well, where they're trying to still figure it out and pull some wins that way. And that's why I do love my rogue decks, because sometimes the meta is quite boring, some of what the meta decks do is quite stale. And it's nice a way to play the game and keep it fresh by not playing the top deck, and sometimes it can actually do quite well. So for this video we're going to go over the top 5 picks, and before we do that, feel free to like, comment, subscribe on the video to help support me the best way possible by liking it and subscribing, and also by hitting the notification bell. If you do subscribe, you get alerts to when my videos do drop. And as of today, as of recording and at the moment, I've finally hit 500 subs. So that's halfway to my goal of 1,000 subs, which I'm really appreciative if you subscribe. Thank you very much for helping me at this point. And because we've hit 500, we have triggered a giveaway, which probably is out now or going to be out soon. And also now I'm going to be detailing what I'm going to do if I get to my goal of 1,000 subs, if we ever get there. So if you want to find out about that, check out this giveaway. But without further ado, let's get to the video and check out what my 5 rogue picks are for finals. So starting off with a good one, being green turtles, which is, this one's a nice one because you can play different ways. You can play it very aggressively, like we've seen back when this guy was first released, or play it quite controlling, which is quite nice. Also, it's one of those decks that can play out, so I think, at the start of the turn. So like normally you've got some leads that can play out a field card when they start the game, but this one does a little bit differently. It does play out a card at the start of the game, but it's not a field card, and it's not to your side, it's to your opponent's side, giving them the treat of might. And as well as that, it's also got a nice way to gain advantage on both sides, so it's gaining advantage on either side, and it's got an alternative awakening as well as its normal awakening, so you have 4 or less, which you can also take your life down with its first auto to take a life to get yourself to that point, or do the alternative awakening by getting your opponents having 3 or more life face up, so you can draw 1 and tap 1 and flip over, and that alternative awakening condition is fulfilled in the Tree of Might. So starting off with the lead on the front side, so it can gain advantage by just when it attacks. It can take a life if it wants to, so you can either control if you want to get yourself down to 4 or less life to have your super combos live and stuff like that, to awaken while also gaining more advantage. Or if you don't want to keep a higher life total, you can just not choose to take a life because it's optional if you want to take a life, and then just look at top 5 cards to find a Crusher Corpse among them and add to your hand. And that gives you a little bit of consistency by finding your parts of your archetype being the Crusher Corpse to gain advantage. You're not really going to whiff because there's quite a few Crusher Corpse cards you can actually grab. So it's going to be very unlikely that you're going to whiff. It is possible though, because I've seen people whiff off the top 10 yellow kick you lead, so that is possible. But it's going to be unlikely because of the amount of stuff you choose. So you can either take yourself down 4 to awaken, so you've got control of when you awaken, or try and push the alternative awakening condition, which is getting your opponent to have 3 more life face up, and that's done by the Tree of Might. Because at the start, because where you put this in your opponent's battle area, it's not a field card, so it doesn't disrupt with anybody's field strategy or easy to remove by them playing a field card. But it does mean that once in their board, your Crusher Corpse have a reduced combo cost of 1, which is great because some of them do have a 1-cost combo card, being mainly the cards for the archetype and multi-color cards as well. But the way it's gaining advantage is by when your opponent hits their main phase. If you've got a mono green energy, so it only starts working if you're going first. It starts working if you're going first, as soon as they out turn, or if you're going second, it only starts on your second turn. So it's better going first. It gains more advantage going first than if you're going second. And Yeah, because it triggers on their second turn, rather it will trigger on their first turn on if you go first. And what it does is they flip a life face up. So if one of their face down cards face up, and then you get add a Fruit Tree of Might to your hand if they do that. So that's quite nice, just gain advantage. And the good thing about it is gaining 3 cards between turns rather than 2, because most decks they gain a card from drawing for turn, like every deck does. So it's not your turn, you get the draw, untap, and charge. Not in that order, but you get that basically in that charge phase. You get a draw, untap of your stuff, and a charge. And then you get an extra card, another card, by either like using your leader to gain advantage in some sort of way. So most of the time the generic one is just swing with your leader, draw a card. So most decks, like mostly all decks, gain advantage by drawing for turn and gaining a draw from the lead. But this goes an extra step further and gains a third card by just when your opponent starts their turn, you get to flip on their life face up so you can see what's in their life, and gain a Fruit Tree of Might. And that's a nice card that you use for cost effects to discard cards, or especially with the first one you get, you're going to be using it as a charge. So you get 3 cards per turn between turns, whereas your normal card decks only get 2. And also, it just allows you to keep having Fruit Tree of Might to keep psyching that as well. To keep, if you go the control version, to keep prevent yourself from decking out by just keeping your deck floating by just having more cards and then just doing a little loop. And the great thing about the lead is it allows you to awaken however it wants, but it's alternative awaken condition by seeing what your opponent's grabbing, because either they're taking cards that are face up in their life to the hand to avoid you awakening at a high left total with the alternative awakening, which you then see what cards are in the hand, so you know what's going to the hand. Or they're not taking cards from their life; they're taking the face down cards to not let you see what they're taking from their life, and leaving you with face up cards, so that way they can you can awaken it at a high life condition. So either way, you're getting the advantage of knowing what's being added to hand, or getting your alternative awakening condition. So you're either getting knowledge or awaken early at a high life total. And when you do flip over to your awakened side, you lose the effect to look for any archetype, but you then get the plus, just the swing, draw 1. But you also replace the looking for archetype stuff with now having a permanent where you can choose what damage they take when it's time to deal some damage. So either you can choose, give you something in your opponent's life that you know is in there to hand that you know is going to be useless, or that you don't mind them having, or making it take a face down card in their life, so that way you can keep the face up cards ready for your Fruit Tree of Might. Because Fruit is a great card, it's just a one cost card that can give a 20k boost, because as long as your leader is a Turtles Crush Corpse card, or your is mono green, which you can have it, and you flip one of your opponent's face up life face down, you get to give one of your leader a battle card 20k power for the battle. And if it's a Turtles card, so if it's a Turtles character, it gains double strike as well. So it means you can give like an upgraded champer to your lead at any point. But just instead of one cost 10k double strike, it's a one cost 20k double strike, because that's a huge amount, and that's defensively or offensively, so you can use it to out combo swings using 20k power, or offensively you go on 20k power, so that's very strong. And all it requires is your opponent to have a face up life, which you can easily get with the Fruit Tree of Might in a battle area to easily make that possible. And you can even loop this as well, because where you're gaining this for your opponent's turn, getting the Fruit Tree of Might, you want to keep looping it. And the great way with that, with putting pressure, is just your turn, you're going to use Fruit Tree of Might, flip one of the face up cards, face up life face down, use this, and they're going to take it combo out. And if they've got more cards face down in life, because you're going to be controlling what cards they take with this Turtles, they have that face down life. If they got face down life in there, you're going to get to use the activate main of your lead on the awakened side to grab that fruit back from your drop by putting a fruit that you already had in your hand back to the bottom of the deck. So when it comes to your opponent's turn, they then flip a life face up and you add that fruit back, so you're just then not really losing anything but gaining a fruit to help out combo big swings for just one energy, having a 20k to like a combo for 1, which is very good. And not only that, it has a good unison package as well, where you can run different ones. If you're on the aggressive route, you can go ahead and play Demigra. If you want to go for some of the good 2-cost ones, they got quite a few good ones. They got the Piccolo new one that is a +1 draw one, which is quite good. It will become a 15k dual attacker. You got the Bardock that controls their combo and stuff like that. So you got some really good 2 specified cost green unisons. And then you've even got the King Vegeta, which is a nice barrier removal one. And not only that, by having a unison, you have also access to the unison package by having Dormant, the limit amount of attacks your opponent's taking, and Frieza being a very good free counterplay. Now, more big boss cards are coming out that are outside the range of Frieza, being 8 drops, but still it's good for other things, and just the threat of if your opponent has a green unison down with 2 or more markers on, you have to worry about the charismatic. And as I said, King Vegeta would be nice with barrier removal, with +1 just hitting something through barrier, or just ripping a card from their hand, so you have a nice little package. Not only that, you do have access to some good Turtles cards, so you have some pseudo-rival things. So you have the Crusher Corps Commander coming down for 1 with Active Battle, as long as you combo 2 or more Crusher Corps cards, which is fine because most of them are going to be combo the play cards, and even then, it allows you to charge the energy. So you can combo 2, 1 that goes the energy, 1 to combo the play in. And then you can play this out, and this allows you to help you cycle through your deck, having deflect, I mean it can't be stopped from coming out. And with his also bottom decking a card to basically draw 2 cards, give 5k power for the turn, and flip one of your opponent's life face up. So it's a good way to help put more, help your opponent get that alternative way condition triggered for you early by adding more cards, and also just come in defensively or offensively as well. Then you got the multicolour ones, which once again, with the Tree of Might being your opponent's battle area, they become 0 cost 5ks. And they have a very nice one, like the Turtles Dominance at Hand allows you to rest one of your opponent's cards when they played while also drawing a card, because when it's also is play it from hand, draw a card, and then choose 1 or 2 effects, depending on the colour of your leader. And since your leader's green, you'll be resting one of your opponent's battle cards, so you can tap down some blockers, or tap down things you want to attack into with your battle cards. And being a 16k instead of 15k means it has to have 2 minusings from your opponent for sin, because they can minus by 15k, or if they have to use their 8 drop to minus it down, which you're going to use this to block the 8 drop swing. And it comes down for 1 being the activate main, which is limit 1 by paying 1 green. If you got 2 or more Turtles Crusher Corps cards in your battle area, play this card out for 1. And yeah, that's easy enough to do because, as I said, most of the cards in the archetype are combo the play cards. And then you have this nice Turtles Dark Power Unleashed EX Evolve on top of this 4 drop. So for free energy, you can get this 25k Blocker Avenger out. That has 2 nice abilities. The first one is an auto, which when this card KOs opponent's battle card, you get to switch the card in active mode and then rip a card from your opponent's hand of your choosing. Now, you don't get to see the card, but you just get to rip a card out. They just show their hand, they just fan their hand. You pick a card at random and at hand, but at least that way you get the pick rather than them pick to choose a card they don't want. And this could be either when you swing it with this card to KO one of their battle cards, or when you block and trigger Revenge by KO one of their cards. But not only that, if you have this on the board, you have to be careful about how they're going to sequence, because if they attack with battle cards, you can just block with this to Revenge, get another block out and rip a card from the hand. And if they want to get rid of this by effects beforehand, it triggers the second auto, which then, when it's removed from a battle area by opponent's skill, you choose all your opponent's battle cards in rest mode and KO them, and then choose all their battle cards that are not in rest, that are in active mode, switch into rest mode. So you get to KO their rested board and then rest their cards to, if they remove by skill, to try and avoid swinging into it or it being blocking things. So there's a really nice tech there. And it also gives access to the Faded Rival package that all green decks have, giving barrier removal and then having the pick a load rip a card from hand. So nice free card energy play. And while you won't be playing Paragon Super Combo in here, you'll be playing the Archetype Super Combo. You can still combo those Turtles cards we saw to put them back in the deck, so you can combo them off without fear of losing them because they've been a energy and put back to the deck. And have access to this play, either just playing just Son Goku hit Faded Rival for the barrier removal for 2 energy once your opponent gets 3 or more energy, or having the full package of both of them. They have the Piccolo down, they come down and help wreck unisons with this effect of when it, which is basically all part of when it's played. So it is a cost. It is a cost just to basically play 1 green and have the ever guy in play, and then play out the card and remove markers on your opponent's unison depending on how much Z energy you have. So if you have 3 Z energy, you remove 3 markers. And then it's got a nice little bit of hand control where when it swings, your opponent discards card from hand. And dual attack 25k is a good skill and a good power level as well. And one thing is, with this leader, it's got a permanent on both sides, which if a Turtles Crusher Corps card is placed in your battle area by a skill, it's set to warp instead. So if you would sack off a Turtles Crusher Corps battle card by a skill, by one of your skills, it would warp instead of going to drop. So that meant that you could never successor in this Cell Zeno. But now having this Faded Rival package, or like Faded Rivals cards, so either playing 2 Gokus or having the Goku and Piccolo together, you can have access to this Cell Zeno secret rare, which you wouldn't have been able to before, because it would be hard to get 12 energy without the use of your Turtles Crusher Corps. But now if you want to play this, and you can have access to finally this secret rare. Not only that, but you also have access to some very good extra cards in Tree of Might, which just gone over, being a very good 1 cost 20k combo, essentially. And you also have Kill Driver, which is like your built-in Realm of the Gods card. Because it's similar to Realm of the Gods, where, well, as long as your leader is this type of leader, Turtles Crusher Corps card, you add to your Alternative Self-Awakening by flipping one of their life face up. That's face down. And then you get to choose one of your leader or battle cards, give it 10k combo for the battle, then you get to choose one or two effects. You either get a draw card, making it a pseudo combo, a pseudo 1 cost 10k combo. That like a lot of things have, like the Realm of the Gods cards, but also going towards your Alternative Awakening condition. Or if it's your turn, you get use its removal by choosing one of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost greater than the current energy and KOing it. So you've got that built-in Realm of the Gods kind of card for this. Or as that also helps do your Alternative Awakening condition, or just a 1 cost 10k that you combo with the draw. Pretty good. But that's it for the Turtles card, Turtles one. So that's it for Rogue Deck number 1. Rogue Deck number 2 we have is King Cold, one of my favourite decks and one of my favourite green decks as well, being one of those unique ones that came out back like just set 13, because it all revolves around field cards, and it's just a nice little concept. Because green is one of those colours, well, the colour that has all the testing of different archetypes and different strategies in, and King Cold is probably one of the better ones to come out of it. Because a leader that revolves around playing field cards, and by getting its like draw from the field cards and reducing the cost of your field cards as well. And just like in Turtles, it has an effect that when it starts the game, he plays out a card, but this time instead of going to your opponent's battle area, it goes to your battle area, being the King Cold's Dynasty, a field card that lets you play more field cards, because usually when you have a field card out, you can't play another one. If you play a new one, it replaces the old one and sends the old one to the drop. But with this King Cold's Dynasty, as long as you're playing a 2-cost green field card, you can you can play multiple field cards as long as they're 2-cost field cards. So you're only going to play, along with this card for the Bring Out Leader, you're going to be playing 2-cost green field cards. And it allows you to play as many as you want, but you can't play multiple copies of the same one until the first one you played is gone to play a new one, not the same card. So there's going to be ways to actually sack them off to use them, and that is through the Leader's Awaken effect, because on both sides of the lead, it's got an effect where if you play a green field card with energy cost of 2, you get a draw card. And on the unawakened side, you also get to take a life if you want to as well. So you've got that self-awaken built in to awaken as soon as possible at turn 2, so you can get the full value, start aggressing very well and controlling. And when you're awakened, you get to control and replay those field cards, because as I said, you can't play in the same copy of a one you're already on board until that's gone. So using the Leader's effect, you can sack it off to give it a boost in battle, using Activate Battle, which is sack off a field card to give it 10k power for that battle. You can use it offensively or defensively to reuse the field cards, so you can play more to get the draw. And you've got a plethora of different strong ones, like New Ruler to look at top 3, whilst taking a life, and then getting more filter for your deck when you sack it off. Anticipating Onslaught allows you to like build up a board for free, whilst drawing, and then having an active extra effect of sacking off a different field card to then pop 2 costs or less, and have that little bit more control when you're using sacking off the field cards to play new ones. And Terrified Realization allow you to give a boost to your your Freezer Clan cards, while having this on the board with never 3 ever field cards on board, which is easy to do, but also giving you more draw power from that. Because normally when you're playing most of the field cards, they're going to get a draw from the lead effect, draw 1 from when you're playing a field card, and the field card itself gain you advantage in some way, shape or form. And at least these 3 are the ones that gain you a card either by drawing or switching the top 3 for a green card. And you can find all these in the berry blue card that it has for the deck, which is just one-drop searcher that most decks have. And this either looks for one of these field card, a green extra card with a field skill, or a green unison with a specified cost of 2. So you're either looking for the in-archetype unison that's made for this deck, or one of the field cards. And not only that, but normally you're going to want to play field cards from your hand to get the draw and use them up. This allows you to reuse the ones you sack off and have in the drop, so you can sack them off and then replay them back, so you're not losing anything from hand. And that's for the activate main of paying 1 green. As long as your leader is the King Cold BR card, you get to activate a mono green extra card from with an energy cost of 2 and a field card from your drop. So it means you can sack off some of these field cards to gain the effect of your lead, to swing and get that 10k power, or sack them off during your opponent's turn to defend yourself, and then use Berry Blue to bring them back during your turn by paying 1 green energy, and that's totally worth it. But not only that, the deck got a nice little boost in King Cold Transfer of Power from the latest Champ Pack cards, and it's a very good one as well, because it's got the same kind of permanent that the Freezer cards had that came with the deck, where for every 2 green extra cards in your battle area and or drop, you reduce the cost of this card in your hand by 1, so make it a 2 cost at the very least, because you've got to still pay the specified cost. And it adds something nice to the deck, giving it a critical attacker that you can bring out quite easily and play a full 4 copies of. And not only that, but it allows you to have another way to sack off your field cards to keep playing them while adding a boost, because the cost is for the activate main is sacking off one of your green field cards with energy cost of 2 or less in your battle area, and then allowing you to choose one of your opponent's battle cards, carrying it, and then charge from your drop one of your green field cards with energy cost of 2 or less to use the energy. So not only are you going to get, popping your opponent's board, that's not got barrier, but you're also charging Z energy, which this deck has a kind of issue with, because outside of your super combos, you're not going to be really comboing with any of your battle cards, because you want to get their effects off. So allowing you to charge Z energy with field cards using this is quite nice. And having critical is really nice, and a permanent is really good as well, because you can play it out using the Anticipated Onslaught, because this Anticipated Onslaught, when it's played, draws you a card and plays out from your hand a mono green Freezer Clan card or Freezer Army card when it costs 2 or less from your hand. So having four or more green extra cards in combination in your battle area and drop allow you to play this out from the Anticipated Onslaught, which is very nice. And then using Terrified Realization as one of the field cards in your board, make it a 25k crit. So having 25k crit is really nice, meaning that they've got to use a super combo and another card to out combo it as easy as possible or take the hit. So you're either swinging it and making them use more cards down and make potentially super combos that out combo the swing and not lose the life, or taking it and not getting any advantage from it. And you can even chuck on a super combo as well for this, to even push it even higher to 35k, and then Z-charging it just for a beneficial effect we'll go in a sec. And you have Berry Blue as well to give you a little bit of cycle, because if you've got Berry Blue on the field and you play an Anticipated Onslaught, you then draw a card for the lead, because if it's the first field card you play this turn, then Anticipated Onslaught to draw a card and play out this King Cold, swing with the King Cold as long as for a 25k crit, as long as Terrified Realization is one of them, to push through 25k crit, and then use the effect after that, sack off Anticipated Onslaught, to then pop a card and potentially charge Z energy, and then use Berry Blue to replay that Anticipated Onslaught from your drop, to then draw a card and play Never King Cold to keep doing that over time, and get some nice pressure while building up a board and gaining advantage. And the reason why I say it's probably nice to put a Defending Fire Paragus on top of the King Cold's swing is because this deck also has the nice access to be able to loop super combos in the form of using Defending Fire Paragus and the Son Goku Fate Arrival, because it means you can use a super combo like Paragus on the King Cold 4-drop swing, because that's critical pressure, adding more to make it so they take the attack and lose value by either wasting a lot of cards out combo of 35k crit or taking a hit. And it's going to be going straight to drop because it's critical. And then you can use the Paragus to go use the energy and give it, and basically have access to have it back by using the Son Goku Fate Rival as part of its effect to use the activate main to play itself, to put the Defending Fire Paragus back to your bottom deck to play out this Goku for barrier removal, and then using something like Berry Blue or your new rulers to help filter through your deck to filter through. You can see your super combo again, which is quite nice. So you can get access to more super combos through legal terms and not by sneakily add it to your hand. And also with the Unison as well, you get a nice Unison package, having the Unison to help free play your field cards out using its +1 to play the field cards in your hand without paying its energy cost. So like free playing out the fields, well, free activating the fields because it's an extra card, and then having access to Freezer Charismatic as more counterplay disruption to make your opponent play something and then pop it as well. Not only that, but you also have Cooler, which is good field counterplay with this deck as well. And you also have Royal Supremacy, which is a nice little extra card to help protect your Unison to keep it around to play the field cards, activate the field cards for free. Being it negate, that just negate the attack, and then pop up to 3 costs or less on your opponent's board. And you can also use this for free, where once you've got 3 or more field cards on board, you can play it for free, which is really nice. And as well, that is the second rogue deck and the only 2 green ones. And now we'll go to the next one, which is going to be like a nice little favourite and a strong rogue deck that my buddy Danny loves, and that is the yellow Goku deck. Now I know it's got some, I know it's one of the Goku leaders, which most of them have very bad coup nicknames because people like to be creative, air quotes you probably didn't see, with the names. And this one got one of the stupidest ones in Drip Coup because I don't really understand it. Just drip. It doesn't really describe you got other coup names actually quite useful in describing them. Like you've got the Kid Coup, but from 1.66, people call that Kid Coup because it was the Kid Goku. It's the only Kid Goku lead we had. And then you got other ones like you got Hell Coup, which is the yellow Goku deck that actually had real hell on it. So if you Hell Coup, you fall back to that card. That's the yellow Goku that has hell on it, the hell one. And you got other ones like I normally call the new. You got people giving like Grape Coup to the new yellow Goku starter deck one. Like you got some of them just like don't make sense. Like Grape Coup at least makes sense because there's a Great Ape Coup to go on the Great Ape Goku. and some of them are quite descriptive and quite nice. So this one's got a very bad name in Dripku, which doesn't really describe much of it, because it's the Yadrat outfit of Goku. So Yadrat Goku made sense, or Yadrat-ku, or Yad-ku, I think some people call it. Would have made more sense to distinguish the card from now the few yellow Goku leaders we're getting, because we've got at least 3 Goku leaders now that are yellow. So having a better way to describe it, so I just normally call it by Yellow Goku. Most people that call it Dripku, they're either going to name their kid Broly or Karen to pass on their hatred for the world. But it's a nice lead in the fact on its front side you got the activate main, the auto, which allows you to awaken quicker, because your awakening on this lead is just a 4 or less life to draw a card on tap 1 to flip over, and you're going to wait till turn 3 to do that. But its auto allows you to make use of its strategy, which is like the green caller revolved around unisons, where you can add a card from your life to your hand if you want to, which is mainly what you're going to do to help you get down to 4, because that's the only way you're awakening. And you get a look at top 5 cards of your deck, play a yellow unison with a specified cost of 1 among them, with a marker on it and rest on your board. So you're gaining extra value by adding a card from your life to your hand, plus free playing a unison not from your hand but from the top 5. So you got a chance to whiff, but you got some good unisons to bring out. So you got all these different ones that gain advantage, like Piccolo when it's got 3 or more markers on it. When it's played, draws a card. You got a VH when it's replaced, draws a card, and a Yamcha is +/-0, draws a card for that main. So you've got a nice draw power for your unisons to filter through your deck as well, thin your deck to try and find what you want. Plus they all have empowered too, which means when they replace a yellow unison on board, you take over up to 2 of its markers to it. So it means you keep the markers high on it, what to keep it around surviving, so when you play new ones you can get beneficial effects. And then when it awakens to its front side, to its new leader back, you get the auto of now drawing a card when you swing. So instead of taking life, you draw a card, and now you get to play a unison. You still get to play a unison, but it's now from your hand rather than from the top 5. So now you're playing them from your hand to make sure you're not whiffing if you don't want, not really whiffing, rather than the top 5 and whiffing. You also have a nice little activate main where if you start losing your unisons and basically going having less unisons and going low on the ones you can drop, you have the ability to use the activate main by paying 2 yellow, place 8 yellow unisons from your drop to the bottom of your deck in any order, and then switch to card to active mode and give it a 10k power and double strike boost for the turn. So you can get potentially 2 swings at the lead, with the second one being 20k double strike, which is a good spot for a lead. And then you got the activate battle defensively to take any number of markers off your unison to gain 5k power per marker on your leader for the battle. So once per battle, on defensively you can take markers off your unison and defend yourself, which is quite decent. And the turn 3 play is quite strong in this deck because it's got the SS2 Gohan Z Fighter unison to help be its main play. Because as I've been told by my buddy Danny, it's turn 3, 4, 5, 6 is when you're going to be just dropping this over and over again. So you can always draw into the 4 copies of it and playing one after the other. Because it's got Empower Yellow 3, which means it takes up to 3 markers from the previous yellow unison it replaces. And it's a free specified cost, so that's why we want to normally wait until turn 3 to awaken. So you can play this out and then awaken to get energy back to help defend yourself with. And then from that turn on, you can have extra energy after playing one of these to at least one from turn 3 and 4 if you awaken properly to defend yourself with. And it board clears with his auto when it's got 4 more markers on. When it's played, you choose up to X number of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode and on barrier, where X is equal to the number of unisons in your drop, which is going to be a fair few. As long as you're cycling through each turn, and it KOs them. So barrier removal, but they got to be rest. So if your opponent's leaving a board full of like big barrier block attackers, build them up to kill you in one swing, you're gonna have a hard time. But if they're not playing it properly and just swing with them, they're gonna keep dying. Because you're playing, as I said, playing this card turn 3, 4, 5, 6 in a row, turn after turn, and once if it survived the turn, if you haven't killed them yet and it survived the turn before you sack it off for another copy, or before you sack it off for another copy, if your opponent's not dead yet, you're going to be using the +1 to use its activate main, draw a card. But when you play a new one, or the first time you play one of these cards, you can activate the activate main, because you can have enough markers on it to trigger the -3, which is choose one of your leader cards and this card, and the chosen cards gain 5k power until the end of the turn, until the end of your opponent's next turn, and this card gains triple attack. So you essentially give yourself a 35k triple attack in a unison, which is hard to interact with or deal with, and you make your leader a 20k base for the turn until the end of your opponent's next turn. So make it easy to defend yourself, while also giving yourself a big threat. And you can either swing twice with the unison and then leave up the block, because it's triple attack, or swing all 3 25k swings at your opponent's lead to put some pressure on. And it also is yellow, so it gives you access to one of the greatest super combos for yellow, being the Piccolo Gohan, being a great super combo. Defend out of big swings, because one thing is with SS4 Gogeta, they're normally going to be swinging with the 8-drop, the pressure to make you use a lot of super combos defending the leader, that 8-drop on the leader swing. And yellow has one of the easiest ways to outcombo that with just one super combo, get the full effect, because you can't activate anything but super combo skills when it attacks. So you get the combo out with one swing for this, because you're going to be tapping out 4 for playing the card, and then 1 for attacking with it, which means the permanent triggers make it become a 0 cost 30k combo. And you can combo out that just one swing with just one card, play itself out, draw 1 and tap on your opponent's battle cards or unison cards down, and have this to attack on your opponent's next turn. So it's a very good card to help combat SS4 Gogeta, at least the first swing with their 8-drop. And then you have some really nice extra cards to help defend yourself. So if you get into your 5 energy or 5 life and you want to defend a little bit easier, you've got the Frieza Army Reinforcements, the token negate every color has, to help avoid being double strike to 5 life. You have Final Flash to use things to ignore barrier if you're trying to push through things. Just ignore barrier on your effects on the card through barrier and just turn it off. And you have Release from Evil, which is a nice tech that all yellow decks have really, to help punish leaders that have effects like with Gamma, as we saw Gamma, SS3, and even SS4 Gogeta lead, that lead for that deck, to turn off their permanent of being able to combo things in rest mode so they didn't get the full effects. That way, if they've used a Unison to play out a 4-drop that goes in the rest mode and draws some card, then swing the leader, you can Release from Evil it, negates all its skills in it, so it gets pended auto of being able to draw and play out the card, but then it loses permanent for the rest of the turn to be able to combo those cards in rest mode, so then they go to drop and get the full use of them. And it's able to just turn off skills in any card attacking, not the 8-drop Gogeta, but mostly everyone's, just make them skillless and not worry about them. So if you're worrying about out-comboing because of high power level, which this deck will struggle with, then you can always just neg the skills, so turning a triple striker into a single striker and not worry about out-comboing, just take it. And not only that, but with the hit to red being that all red decks outside of Vegito have lost the Resolve Combined Vegeta or the Resolve Renewed Vegeta counterplay, yellow has the benefit of having Robotic Repulse live again to not have to worry about being able to use that freely without it being stopped every time, which is a nice boost for every yellow deck. Now that's it for yellow for that one, so that's a third rogue pick. Now we have one of my preferred and my hyped yellow decks for the format, being Topo. This is a nice one because it's two aspects of yellow is resting, constantly resting things, and then taxing your opponent, making them unable to do things due to certain criteria, like unable to draw with Slug and stuff like that, and unable to attack with things like Sin. And Top is one of them that restricts the amount of cards battle cards your opponent play by when it's on its front awakened side, and it has the permanent in place, where if you have a yellow Unison in play, with specified cost of 2, your opponent can't play any battle cards. When they play a battle card, they can't play any more battle cards for the turn, so locking your opponent into playing 1 battle card a turn for the rest of the turn while you keep a specified cost of 2 Unison in play. And that's really good. And, wrong way. And on the front side, you've got the nice little benefit. On the 1 turn, you're not going to be awakened, which is normally going to be turn 1. You still get advantage by swinging your lead to draw 1, which isn't going to really work if you're not really going to worry about if it's your first turn and you're on first. But it's got a very nice permanent where, awaken, where if you realize at 4 or less, or you have a yellow specified cost 2 yellow Unison in play, you untap 2, take your life down to 6 and flip over, and that's perfect because you're getting the untap 2 to get the cool play. But with that 1 edge you get having turn 1, you want to make full use of it. And with that you've got some nice little searches in Casserole and Piccolo, Heart of a Teacher. These both have the same kind of permanent with a little bit of differences in each of them. Where when they're played, you look at the top 5 cards of your deck, and both of them look for a specified cost 2 yellow Unison. So they both have ways to find a Unison. So either one of them can find a Unison if you didn't mulligan and get one. And other than that, they have every criteria they can search for each. So that help with some things you can play in yellow that are very good. So Piccolo searches for either a 4 cost or less yellow Earthling or Namekian, and Castle searches for a 4 cost or less yellow Universe 11. So Castle searches for the new anniversary support card it got, which we'll go in a sec, and Piccolo searches for nice things like either the Slug stuff or yellow Earthling stuff, which is quite cool. And when you do go to awaken, you then are going to be using one of the two great yellow Unisons we've got. So for it, And you're normally going to be doing that by playing the Unison out, then awakening to untap 2 and flip over and then go to 6 life. Now 6 life isn't great, but you've got ways to mitigate that to go to 5 life with other cards, so you can have your token negate and then get the 4 for your super combos if you play the generic normal ones. And it has 2 good Unisons in Vegeta, which is a very good one for the format, having its -1 to be able to make it so your opponent can't attack with battle cards higher than the current energy for the turn. So if they have a 4, so with like Gogeta and stuff, they can't attack with the 4 drops until they get the turn 4, and they can't attack with like the 8 drop until they get turn 8, which you're never really going to do. And same with Sin, they can't attack with their 4 drop or 8 drop until they get the energy turn when that matches the cost. So they can't attack with the 4 drop until they get the 4 energy, and 8 drop until they get 8 drops. So you can cut off an entire card, entire archetype. A lot of plays for most of the big decks. Most of the decks now that play things higher than their current energy cost. For ages, and also it can gain markers because it doesn't have a plus skill by just using its first activate main to erase itself, or when you battle cards to gain a marker. And some of the battle cards you have gain effects when arrested by this card, and also you have the Gogeta as well, the SS Gogeta Dynamic Unison, which has a nice little bonus permanent where when you're tapped out, your mono yellow leader gains a 5k boost in your opponent's turn, and if they activate any extra card while it's on board once per turn, you gain a marker on it. So this one can keep markers high with the Vegeta is good for the meta, and Gogeta can keep Unison around for longer because it's got a +1, while also having an effect that gains you markers if they use extra cards once a turn. And its +1 allows you to filter your deck by having to trigger, well, even like set up Robotic Repose by using the effect to choose 2 yellow cards in your hand, discard them, and if you do, draw 2 cards, so ditch 2 extra cards that are dead or you don't want to draw 2 brand new cards and have Mecha Freeze alive. And he's even got the -4 to help limit what they can do in their next turn by using the -4 to make it so during your opponent's next charge phase, they can only switch up to 2 of their energy to active mode. So if they've tapped out, you can make it so they only get 2 energy back later in the turn. So later in the games, when you think, oh no, they're going to push through, you can limit how much energy they've got. And if they're not in blue, they don't have much. And even then, Bean is now errated to being defensively, not offensively. So you've got that little clarity in mind there. And the card that gave it a boost from Anniversary Box is Dispo Hyper Strike. This is a nice card you can be played straight after you play the Unison on turn 2, because you're done tapping the 2 energy. Using that to main by limit 1, so you can play 1 a turn, but it's not unique, so you can play have multiple on board. Where if your leader is a yellow topo card, and you have a Unison card with specific cost 2 in place, so the exact conditions you need to awaken, and this exact leader, you draw a card and play this card from your hand. So you're placing it in your hand so you're not losing anything for playing it. And then it's protecting Unison because it's barrier, so hard to interact with, and it's a permanent where what's in rest mode, your opponent can't attack a Unison with a specific cost of 2, meaning that they can't attack a Unison at all until this is gone. And this also gets a benefit from the Vegeta Unison resting it by when this guy switches to rest mode by one of your skills. You switch it back to active mode so you can attack with it then, and choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with entry cost of 5 or less in rest mode and KO it. So not only are you switching this rest mode and restanning it to give a marker to Unison if you're using the Vegeta Unison, but also if you're using the Vegeta Unison, you're restricting their ability to swing with or ability to play multiple battle cards a turn with the top as permanent, restricting what they can swing with the Vegeta's -1, and then clearing what they've already got on board that they tried to establish using the Dispo. So it's really, really nice. And the fact that you can play multiple once per turn, because you're going to be restricted yourself by the permanent, but the fact you can have multiple of these on board is great. So just in case they got barrier removal, remove 1, you can have another one on board. But I mean, that's what I mean by this little combo being very good for the meta, being Vegeta restricting most of the meta deck, like the top meta decks, from being able to do what they want to do as cheaply as want. So dropping the 8 drop but not being able to swing with it is great. And then while you just keep hitting them, while they can't really do anything to hit you back, and Dispo to protect it, which is great. And then because it's yellow, you have some really nice cards in like Release from Evil, because you're playing a Unison-based strategy to just basically shut off effects from cards when they swing with them. Lord Slug to help. You can hardcast this rather than pay the 1 drop in the 3 drop 1, because you're permanent effects yourself as well. So you can freely hardcast this to then not only have that little lockdown, but also restrict your opponent from drawing outside their lead. And as well as that, if you want to stop the amount of attacks they have and mess up things they try to play as well, the one-time thing they try to play, you can play SSB Son Goku Evolved Defender, which is a nice card that come out turn 3 at the latest, at the earliest, and only requires 2 cards in your Z energy, so that's comboing 2 times, which you're normally going to be doing to defend your Dispo from them killing it to protect your Unison. And when you do, you bring it out, Barrier Deflect, can't be stopped from coming out, and then hard to interact with. And also when it comes down, you choose one of your opponent's leader, unison, or battle cards in rest mode, and it can attack for the next turn, meaning you've got less things they can attack with that they have a limit of options on the turn anyway. So not being able to attack with leaders is main thing you're going to go for, so you can't get the draw from the leader swing, and also so they have less swings into your dispel. And then having a nice little ever auto when it's in rest mode, because you're going to be attacking with it. Your opponent, when your opponent plays a card, you may place one card from your Xenon unit zone as drop to make it so you can choose one of your opponent's battle cards or unison cards, switch to rest mode, and you get your skill for the turn. So then if they try to play something, no matter if it's, play any card, yeah, you just get the rest one. So if they got a unison board and they play a battle card, you get the rest of the unison, so they can't attack with it, or the rest of the battle card, which is really nice. So even more destruction, and building up a board of these to have more things to just disrupt your opponent and make it so it's harder that they have very restricted in what they can play and do. Not only that, you have access to some nice super combos, because where it doesn't go down, you have control of your life and you're restricting yourself what you can play every turn. You've got some nice super combos you can play. You can play Zamasu, so if they swing with anything that's not a leader in fear of release from evil, you can use Zamasu to help defend your dispo swing and rest their leader, so they have less attacks, and even use vice versa. Swing a lead, rest one of their battle cards, or even use the Chi-Light one as well for red, yellow, green, that allows you to rest the unisons. And then you have the Beerus one. We've already spoken about the Secret Rare. Secret Rare is just a really good one, help out combo big swings, and a very good thing that mostly all yellow decks want to play. And Beerus has been a nice one. It's not restricted to red because it works with either a red or yellow lead. And while you won't get the greatest benefit all the time, like the red decks do, where if they just hit a red card, they make it a 10k combo, you can still get a good effect from this because it's one of the few multicolored super combos that draws. Plus, still gets a good benefit if you hit yellow by as long as the card swinging doesn't have barrier, you can still choose it to make it lose 5k power, so you're still technically getting a full 10k with the combo as long as the card attacking doesn't have barrier or is unaffected by skills. But there's some good super combo options as well. Not only that, but once again, just like the Yellow Goku, it also has access to Robotic Repose, which, like I said, if you're playing the SS Gogeta Unison, you have the way to easily put extra cards in drop, ready for this to be live, which is quite nice as well. And once again, because at the moment the two top decks are red, but with the red hit on the balance, they don't have access to easy counter plays that they had with Vegeta. So this is more live to use to protect yourself. And that is it for rogue deck number 4. And then we go to the fifth and last rogue deck. And this one is a nice little favourite, and I feel could be strong, is Black Broly. Now you might be thinking I'm joking, but I'm not, because Black Broly is a nice one, because it went from being, with the anniversary box support, from a pointless, dead, terrible leader that's never going to be played, to actually a decent, usable one, and a nice little rogue deck. Because on the front side, it does have you don't want to awaken as soon as possible, because it doesn't have the greatest effect, and it's also creating your life just to mill free, making discard one is not great. But you do get a little bit of benefit in some of the cards that we got for Vegex, being this Kai and Trunks. Kai being a way to mitigate your small hand by having a free combo, like a 10k combo when your hand's low, and be able to play it if you mill it. And Trunks as well being a way to play it if you mill it, take a life as well when it's played to help you awaken as quick as possible, because you need to be at 4 less life to awaken, and also being a blocker to help defend yourself against some swings you don't want to take. Not only that, but you have other things that help you awaken you. So you got the self awakeners that we have, like you got things like the Doria, which when they're also, you want ones that are green because you're only going to be charging green for this deck, and these ones allow you just pay an energy to play them, allow you to swing, take a life to help you self awaken, and gain nice strike skill or nice skills like a critical or double strike. So it's always a nice one, become a 15k double striker for 1 energy, help you take a life to help you awaken, and help do things like push pressure on your opponent's leader, or remove more markers from unisons than you normally would. And you have other cards like the Z Battle card, Broly, which is a generic card, or a generic Z Battle card for all Broly decks to play, that also has the benefit of coming out cheap for 2 energy and 1 Z Battle card, and 1 Z energy. So just comboing 1 card and then trying to use Z energy allows you to have this life on your turn 2 to play it out, and have a way to self-awaken quicker, using that main to discard a card to then take a life if you want to, and make your opponent either discard one and pop one of the battle cards, which is great, more help to self-awaken, and has a nice little also to help you charge more Z energy, and also helping you gain more cards if your hand's low. So if you're 4 less cards and you you get the draw 1. And it doesn't have to worry about your specified cost, because as long as your leader's a Broly, it ignores the specified cost and it can't be killed by skills, so it's got a little bit of benefit. Then when you awaken, you then Broly Legends Dawning. You now have an auto which when you swing draws a card, and has a way to make your opponent discard one, by sacking off one of your non-black, non-token cards. And it also has some remove when you activate main by discarding a card, put something you want in drop to pop on your opponent's battle cards. And with Zarbon Cosmetic Release, you can keep your opponent's hand to a reasonable size. But if they've got 6 or more cards in hand, you can help reduce it by 2 more. By swinging with the Broly, drawing a card, then sacking off the Zarbon to make him discard a card. Then as long as they've got 5 or more cards after that effect, the Zarbon then trigger, make him discard a card. And Zarbon is easy to come out by just using the activate main, by paying 1 green, choosing a green card in your hand, discarding it, play it from your drop. And it's got blocker, so if you're not using it for this, you can defend yourself by blocking with it, which then will still trigger the auto, because it's just when it's removed by a skill or KO to trigger that effect to make him discard one if they've got 5 more in hand, or using the leader effect. And you can easily get that set up in your drop by using the leader's activate main to discard it to your drop to pop one of their battle cards, and then use the effect of his activate main to bring it back from drop. So as long as if your opponent's got 6 or more cards in hand, you can keep reducing it by 2 every time to keep it low. And also you got this nice little better Ribrianne combo, because if you remember, Ribrianne is a card that's certainly for mono green leads that allows you to warp it from the drop by paying 2 green to make him discard 2 cards. Now you got a better combo that isn't restricted just green with the Kaioken Fusamasu, and Kaioken is the reason why you're going to be charging any green, because it comes down for 1 which you have 3 more energy by paying 1 green to make your opponent discard 1 with his auto, then swings at your lead, which make him go a combo never card, combo a card from hand to avoid getting the 15k crit, which is a never card from hand. Then you sack it off for the Zamasu activate main, because it's the perfect conditions for the activate main to play itself. And then you swing at the Zamasu and make him discard a card with his auto. So essentially for 2 energy, you're getting 2 swings and make your opponent lose 3 cards in hand, or loot 2 cards from hand and crit a life if they don't want to combo out of it. And then you can go a step further and discard even more cards, but then swing with your lead to then draw a card and sack off the Zamasu after that to make it discard never cards. It's potentially 4 cards for 2 energy, which is a very good cost to benefit ratio. And as well, that's not the only thing, but you're going to want to keep their cards in hand low, because then you're going to be going into the Z lead, which is the biggest benefit from the anniversary box this league got. Because it's a simple awakening where you just have to be at 4 less life, pay 2 energy, and pay 2 Z energy. Have it be, so you pay 2 energy, send 2 cards from your Z into your drop, be at 4 less life on your awakened leader, and it be your turn to go on your black Broly lead. And what this gives a benefit to, because you're always going to want to do it swinging, because it's got no effect to draw after that, so you're going to want to swing your leader before you're doing this, because you get the benefit of your awakened leader to draw and sack off a card to make him discard. And then do this mid-combat, so that way you then surprise them by bringing out a now 30k double strike crit. And no, sorry, 30k double strike on that leader swing. So the leader swing originally looked to be in just a 15k swing, but now by paying 2 energy and sending 2 Z energy, you get the players on top. So now the combat's still happening, so you have to worry about this now being a 30k double strike base. And you also get the benefit that you extend your board as well with his auto, which is by discarding 2 cards from your hand. When this card is placed in the leader area, you get to play with 1 SS3 Broly Saiyan Berserker from your dropping on his permanent skill. So you can mitigate the cost for that by making the SS3 Broly Saiyan Berserker being one of the 2 cards you discard from your hand, so you're technically losing less. But then you play it out from your drop, and now it's you've basically just Z-Awakened and discarded 2 cards to play a 8 cost 35k beat stick on your board, and that 35k 8 drop beat stick on board triggers then its first auto, and it's the only relevant skill on the card, which allows you to play it when this card is played, play a green Broly card with entry cost of 7 or less from your hand, which is going to be the Broly Supreme Berserker. So now by using 2 cards in hand, well, technically up to 3 cards in hand. Well, yeah, 3 cards in hand and swing with the Z lead and using 2 energy and 2 Z energy, you now have got in a 30k double strike swing at your lead, established a 8 drop 35k beat stick and a 7 drop critical barrier 30k beat stick that now has a good effect, which when it swings you burst 5 and then get 1 or 2 options as long as your lead is a Broly card. So if your opponent's got 3 or less cards in your hand, you make this card a dual attacking critical, which because when it's 3 when your opponent has 3 or less cards in your hand, you switch card to active mode to get 2 swings out of it. But if they got 4 or more cards in hand, you get to have some hand knowledge by looking at your opponent's hand and then picking any one card from the hand and discarding it. So you get to put their hand to free, and you get to know what's in the hand, know if you can still keep swinging and pushing, or to know how well you need to defend your opponent's turn. But it's more the fact that you get to either put more pressure in a 30k dual attacking barrier critical swing, so it's hard to interact with in critical, or looking at the hand, rip more cards from hand to make it so they've got less ways to defend themselves, and also putting up more pressure. So you get for like just 2 energy get this out. So that's at least potentially 5 damage on board as turn 2, and if you've done more damage prior to that, it's more damage, and also as well they could potentially take their own life down. And then you've got the activate main on the card to help trigger your secret rare, which is going to be this Broly Ultimate Age of Destruction. Now the easy way to trigger this is by using the activate main on one of the 2 cards you just brought out, being the 8-drop or 7-drop, and that is by placing 1 non-black card from your battle area to its drop. Choose one of your opponent's battle cards, warp it, and your opponent sends 1 card from the hand to the warp. And by second off one of those 2 cards, the 8-drop or the 7-drop, you then trigger this secret rares effect in its first auto, which is when one of your green battle cards with energy cost of 7 or more is removed from your battle area by a skill or KO'd, and you activate the skill. So remember, it's just by any skill, so the leader triggers it, and it's got to be 7 or more, which either of those 2 cards are. And when you activate the skill, you choose all other cards in your hand and discard them, and play this card from your hand. So you just need to have one other card with the secret rare in your hand to drop it from that effect, and that gives you a 40k double strike dual attack as well. So even more pressure without using much. Like for 2 energy, this is bringing out all these big ass swings, big swings where your opponents are low hand size and pushing through a lot of pressure. So you're going to have limited cards to help defend themselves against this while pushing through some big swings to try and kill them. And as well as that, if you have been pushed down to 1 life, if you didn't get the beneficial auto of the secret rare, and when it attacks and your life's at 1, your opponent chooses all their cards in the hand and places them in the drop area. So you literally just empty your opponent's hand every swing with this as well, which is really nice. And they might take the cards from the damage, but if they're only at 2 life and you discard the entire hand, unless they're negated, then they're not defending themselves. They can't really defend themselves. And when they've got a second attack after and they've lost their hand, they're going to have a hard time dealing with this. So that's why I think that this card is one of the top 5 like road decks to play, because not many people can expect this playing against it, and it can actually do quite well with like the amount of hand control with aggression in it as well. So if you think Red Broly is bad, imagine a deck that does the same, but also putting in big swings, making it so the cards you're losing from hand aren't coming back because they keep getting discarded. Now that is it for today. Thank you for watching. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and check out my next video being episode 9 coming out later this week. Bye for now.